A grizzled alien veteran whispers in a war council, "Do not surround the humans. You will think you have them trapped. But in that moment, it is you who are already caged." The council laughs, dismissing him. Humans are primitive, too emotional, and chaotic. Cut to a polite human diplomat/tactician sipping coffee during the same council meeting, smiling faintly as though overhearing everything. The chamber lights dimmed as the old veteran's voice cracked through the council. "Do not surround the humans," he said, mandibles trembling with age. His scaled hand tapped the table with the weight of memory. "You will think them caught, but in that instant, it is you who are trapped." A pause. Then, inevitable laughter. Dozens of alien delegates, sleek aristocrats, armored commanders, nervous apprentices, erupted in scoffing tones. Some banged the table in amusement, others exchanged mocking glances. "Humans," sneered Admiral Threx of the Zorath. "Those thin-boned mammals who fear their own shadows? You expect us to believe they could reverse an encirclement? You've been drinking star ale, old one." The veteran didn't answer. He only lowered his gaze, haunted by battles no one else survived. From the corner of the chamber, a human cleared his throat. Captain Elias Ward sat in his polished black uniform, hands folded politely on the table, a steaming mug before him. His posture was relaxed, almost casual, as though the fate of species didn't concern him. He lifted the cup, inhaled the bitter aroma, and smiled faintly. "Best coffee I've had in weeks," Elias said warmly, as though speaking only to himself. "Though I'm pretty sure the brew could melt starship hull plating." "Lovely." Several aliens eyed him. Others dismissed him as harmless. Elias leaned forward, his tone courteous. "I do hope no one takes offense at the veteran's warning. He's, well, experienced. Sometimes experience teaches lessons laughter won't erase." He tilted his head, eyes narrowing almost imperceptibly. "Of course, humans are still learning. We're adaptable." The way he said, "adaptable," lingered in the air like a blade half-drawn. The council chamber, a vast dome of translucent alloy, overlooked the swirling gas clouds of the Cawthon Nebula. The scene should have inspired unity. Instead, the chamber buzzed with mockery directed at humanity's supposed frailty. The Hfy delegate, thin and insectoid, clicked her mandibles in derision. "Adaptable? Your species changes direction with every century. You call it evolution. We call it desperation." Elias smiled again. "Funny thing about desperation, it tends to produce results." He sipped his coffee. The alien commander beside her leaned in, whispering something in his own tongue. Elias didn't need translation. He could read the posture, the disdain. They thought humans were pawns in a galactic chessboard. Which was amusing, really, because humans were the ones who invented games just to practice thinking 10 moves ahead. The Zorath Admiral rose, projecting a star map into the chamber's center. A cluster of stars blinked into view, with red symbols marking human colonies. "The Terran fleet," Admiral Threx boomed, "has moved here. Surrounded by our wings on 3 sides. Once our 4th arm arrives, the humans will have no escape. Their surrender will be inevitable. Or," croaked the veteran, "you will discover your own throats in the jaws of prey you thought toothless." More laughter. More dismissal. The veteran's warnings had been ignored for decades. Elias stirred his coffee with a small spoon, letting the faint clink echo longer than it should. "Surrounded, you say?" His tone was mild, conversational, as though commenting on the weather. "That sounds exciting." The room fell slightly quieter. Elias had a way of speaking that drew attention without demanding it. "Tell me, Admiral," he continued politely, "do you play poker?" The Admiral frowned. "What nonsense is this?" "Poker," Elias repeated, smiling. "A Terran card game. The trick is not in the cards you hold, but in what your opponent believes you hold. Bluffing, you see. Sometimes, you invite your opponent to surround you, because that's when they overcommit." He sipped again. His eyes never left the map. The Hfy delegate snorted. "You threaten us with games?" Not at all, Elias replied smoothly. I simply enjoy metaphors. Helps pass the time while being encircled. The veteran's dark eyes flicked toward Elias, recognition dawning. This human wasn't warning them to stop. He was preparing them for what was already unfolding. The young aliens whispered to one another, their antennae twitching. Humans unnerved them in ways they couldn't articulate. Elias set his cup down, its porcelain clink oddly sharp in the chamber's acoustics. He folded his hands. Well then, I suppose we'll see soon enough. Surround us, if you wish. The statement was delivered politely, but every delegate felt the unspoken weight behind it. The Zorath admiral waved dismissively. Humans lack the numbers, lack the discipline. They fight like animals. Elias chuckled softly. That's kind of you. We do have our quirks. But animals, Admiral? Animals survive because they learn how to hunt predators bigger than themselves. The chamber hushed. Mark my words, the veteran rasped, voice hoarse but cutting. Once you think them trapped, it will already be too late. You cannot fence fire. It burns through. This time, fewer laughed. A younger alien, silver-skinned and wide-eyed, leaned forward. Human captain, is this true? Do your people seek the encirclement? Elias spread his hands as if baffled. Seek? Oh no. That would be arrogant. We merely prepare. Preparation, after all, is humanity's oldest habit. We prepare for winters, for storms, for wars. And when preparation looks like weakness, he trailed off, letting silence carry the rest. The young alien sat back, unsettled. Elias rose slowly, adjusting his uniform, his smile never fading. He placed the empty coffee mug on the table and bowed politely. Gentle beings, thank you for the hospitality. Do let me know when you decide the time and place for this encirclement of yours. He turned toward the exit, footsteps calm, even measured. But just before leaving, he glanced over his shoulder. His tone was cheerful, almost playful. Just one thing, back on Earth, we have a saying. Never put all your eggs in one basket. I do hope you haven't gathered too many fleets for this little maneuver. I'd hate for something unfortunate to happen. And with that, he walked out, whistling a tune no alien recognized, something jaunty, almost mocking. The chamber sat in uneasy silence. The veteran closed his eyes, whispering more to himself than to them. They laugh, and then they die. Always the same. The void around the Cawthon Nebula shimmered with drive signatures. One by one, alien fleets emerged, Zorath war frigates bristling with plasma lances, Hfy hive ships crackling with bioelectricity, and the tall, silver Vel cruisers that looked less like vessels and more like blades of light cutting through the dark. The trap was closing. Alien admirals congratulated themselves in encrypted channels, trading boasts of how quickly humanity would fall. The Alliance had never been this unified. Nothing unites rivals like the promise of crushing a common nuisance. From the bridge of the Terran flagship Resolute, Captain Elias Ward leaned against the railing with his usual calm demeanor. He held another mug of coffee, steam curling into the recycled air. Around him, his crew worked with quiet efficiency. Report, Elias said softly. Multiple fleets converging, sir, his sensor chief replied. At least 5 distinct factions. Numbers suggest they've committed the bulk of their regional forces. How generous, Elias murmured. He sipped, as if he were listening to classical music rather than an encirclement meant to annihilate his people. And our own. Positioned as ordered. Holding formation. On the main display, the Terran ships clustered tightly, almost huddled together in the nebula's mist. To the alien eye, it looked desperate, a prey animal curling into itself. Elias chuckled quietly. Perfect. Nothing tempts a predator more than prey that stops running. The bridge crew shared the faintest smiles. They had served under him long enough to recognize that tone, the polite mask hiding something sharper. Sir, asked Lieutenant Rami, the youngest officer aboard, aren't we too still? I mean, if they surround us. Elias turned, his expression warm but unsettling in its steadiness. "Romy, have you ever played hide and seek?" The lieutenant blinked. "As a child, yes." "And where did you hide?" "In closets. Under beds." "Ah." "And the seeker, did they ever pause, thinking they'd won, only to find you behind them?" Elias's smile widened slightly. "Humans never really outgrow that game. We just change the scale." The crew laughed lightly, tension easing. Romy flushed, both embarrassed and strangely reassured. On the alien side, Admiral Threx of the Zorith bared his teeth in delight as the net closed. "Look at them. Huddled together like frightened vermin. They do not maneuver, they do not scatter, they simply wait. We'll end this in hours." The Hfy delegate appeared on his comms, mandibles clicking in approval. "They do not understand strategy. They only clutch their numbers and pray." At that, the veteran, stationed reluctantly on a support vessel, spoke up. His voice rasped with gravel, but his words cut through static. "You fools mistake stillness for fear. It is preparation." Threx growled. "You dishonor our fleet with your superstition." "Superstition?" the veteran snapped. "I watched humans retreat for weeks, let us bleed confidence into arrogance. When we struck, they did not flee, they closed the jaws. I buried friends that day." "You call them prey?" "They are the predator who waits for the predator." The channel buzzed with silence. Then, predictably, laughter resumed. Back aboard the Resolute, Elias listened to intercepted chatter. He almost pitied them. Almost. "Transmit to Earth Command," he instructed. His voice carried the same casual ease as a man dictating a shopping list. Phrase. "Situation developing. Recommend patience. Encode at level black." The comm officer blinked. "Level black? That's—" "Yes," Elias interrupted gently. "That's the one." The message pulsed across space, encrypted beyond alien comprehension. It was short, almost cryptic, but to Earth it meant volumes. "Do not intervene. The bait is working. Let them come." "Sir," Romy asked hesitantly, "why not just fight our way out now? Before the noose tightens?" Elias regarded him with amusement. "Because, Lieutenant, if you cut a rope too early, the knot unravels. Let it tighten, and it becomes irreversible." He tapped the display. Alien fleets pressed closer, their arcs converging like claws reaching for a single point. The humans remained silent, every ship locked in perfect formation. To the aliens, silence looked like fear. To Elias, silence was theater. He strolled across the bridge, coffee in hand, addressing no one in particular. "It's curious, really. They think surrounding us means victory. But in human history—" He paused, savoring the moment. "Those who surround often find themselves encircled instead. Thermopylae, Cannae, Stalingrad. Different centuries, same lesson. The cornered human doesn't die quietly." His officers nodded. Not all understood the references, but they understood the meaning. In orbit around the nebula, the alien fleets closed ranks. Drones buzzed forward, mapping Terran positions. The images they transmitted back seemed to confirm alien assumptions. Terrans clustered tightly, engines on low burn, weapons cold. "Pitiful," Admiral Threx said. "They wait for execution." But as the drones pulled back, something peculiar happened. "Admiral," his aide stammered, "I ran the telemetry twice. They're ships. They're aligned at odd angles. Not toward us. Not even toward escape vectors." "Toward what then?" "Toward empty space. Behind us." Threx snarled. "Coincidence. They have no ships there." On the Resolute, Elias overheard the analysis through his intercept feeds. He smiled faintly, finishing the last sip of his coffee. "Empty space," he whispered. "Always the best place to hide surprises." "Sir," the tactical officer said, "shall we reveal?" "Not yet." Elias placed the mug down with deliberate care. "Half the art of war is patience. The other half is timing. They've given us both. He turned to his crew, his voice calm but edged. Remember, rabbits bite. And this time, we're the ones holding the warren. The bridge fell silent. Outside, the alien net drew tighter. And somewhere, hidden in the cold void behind their would-be captors, the true human fleet waited, cloaked and hungry. The stars rippled with dry flares as the encirclement completed. Alien warships stretched in a wide ring around the Terran fleet, thousands of vessels forming a glittering cage of steel and plasma. To the Alliance, it was perfection. To Captain Elias Ward, it was theater. On the bridge of the Resolute, silence reigned except for the low hum of instruments. Elias leaned on the railing, arms folded behind his back. He watched the tactical display with the composure of a man reading the morning newspaper. "They're in position," his tactical officer reported. Elias nodded once. "And us?" "Exactly where they want us to be, sir." A faint smile tugged at Elias's lips. "Good. It would be terribly impolite to waste their effort." In the alien command vessel, Admiral Threx addressed the assembled delegates via hololink. "Behold," he roared, "the Terrans contained. They cannot break this ring. Today, humanity kneels." The Hfy delegate hissed with delight. "End them. Crush their arrogance." But the veteran spoke, his voice gravelly with dread. "Look again. Their silence should unnerve you. Do you not feel it? They are waiting for something. They are waiting for death," Threx spat. Yet unease rippled through a few younger officers. The Terran ships did not flail, did not broadcast pleas, did not even maneuver. They simply sat, aligned in that strange orientation, facing not outward but toward the void behind the encircling fleets. Elias turned to his communications officer. "Patch me through. All channels." The officer hesitated. "To all of them, sir?" "All of them," Elias confirmed, tone polite as though ordering tea. A moment later, his voice carried across the alien armada. "Ladies and gentlemen," Elias began smoothly, "welcome. It truly warms the heart to see so many distinguished fleets gathered in one place. I must commend your coordination. Surrounding us? Inspired. Efficient. Predictable." Alien channels erupted in confusion. Was he mocking them? Thanking them? Admiral Threx snarled into his calm. "You are encircled, human. Your fleet is finished. Do you not grasp the futility?" "I grasp it perfectly," Elias replied, calm as a glass lake. "But you see, where we come from, encirclement isn't a death sentence. It's an opportunity." The alien commanders exchanged glances. "What are you saying?" hissed the Hfy. Elias's smile never wavered. "I'm saying you've mistaken the rabbit for the wolf." At that moment, the void behind the alien fleets tore open. Dozens of Terran warships decloaked in unison, their hulls glinting like obsidian knives in starlight. Carriers, dreadnoughts, and frigates spread into perfect formation, weapons already primed. The Alliance's triumph turned to horror. The hunters had become prey. On the veteran's ship, a single phrase escaped his lips. "It begins." The first salvos erupted. Human railguns punched through Vel cruisers before their shields could realign. Missile swarms arced from hidden launchers, weaving past defense grids to gut Hfy hive ships. Panic rippled through the alien ranks. Fleets that had boasted of their unity now scrambled, issuing conflicting orders. "Impossible!" Threx roared. "They could not have hidden this many ships." Elias's voice cut through the chaos, still maddeningly polite. "Impossible? Admiral, I believe that word means something different where we come from. On Earth, it usually means, we haven't done it yet." The bridge of the Resolute moved with quiet precision. Officers relayed targeting solutions, confirmed strikes, shifted formations. "Left wing collapsing, sir," the tactical officer said. "Let it collapse," Elias instructed. "Guide them where we want them." Alien vessels tried to break through, but found Terran ships already waiting, herding them inward. The once proud circle tightened, not around the humans, but around the Alliance itself. The veteran opened a private channel to Elias. His voice carried equal parts fear and respect. You planned this from the start. Elias inclined his head politely. We prefer to call it preparation. Why warn them? The veteran demanded. Because, Elias answered, sipping from a fresh mug of coffee, warnings are like riddles. Those who listen may survive. Those who laugh, well. He let the thought finish itself. Alien comms dissolved into pleas and threats. You tricked us, shouted a Vel commander. Elias responded with measured calm. Not tricked. Invited. You came willingly into the box we built. Surrounding us was simply the last move of the game. Plasma beams lanced across the void. Human ships countered with brutal efficiency, striking command vessels first, crippling coordination. Alien formations fractured. Elias's crew watched the chaos with steady eyes. To them, this was not slaughter. It was execution of a plan years in the making. Admiral Threx, Elias said across open comms, his voice soft yet cutting, I do hope you left a few ships behind to guard your homeworlds. Would be a shame if distractions kept you from defending them. Threx's growl turned to silence. For the first time, he realized the true horror. While their fleets gathered here, their territories lay exposed. The Hfy delegate shrieked in panic. They lured us all, every faction, into one place. Correct, Elias said pleasantly. Now you see. Surround the humans. No. We surrounded you. As the battle raged, the legend crystallized. Alien commanders who survived would tell the tale in whispers, repeating the veteran's words like a curse. On the bridge of the Resolute, Elias raised his mug in a mock toast to the stars. To unity, he murmured. Yours made this possible. Ours will finish it. The stars lit with fire. The void was no longer quiet. It burned with wreckage, shattered hulls, and flickering distress beacons. Alien fleets once certain of victory now clawed desperately for escape routes that no longer existed. In the command deck of the Resolute, Captain Elias Ward stood perfectly still. His hands rested calmly behind his back, posture immaculate, eyes fixed on the display as though nothing unfolding outside could surprise him. Outer ring neutralized, sir, the tactical officer reported. Remaining fleets are fragmenting. Not yet, Elias corrected softly. They believe they're retreating. In truth, they're stepping deeper into the cage. On the alien flagship, Admiral Threx's voice cracked with fury. Pull back. Form on me. Break their line. But the more they pulled back, the more the Terran warships seemed to appear, cutting off exit lanes one by one. Every corridor through the stars collapsed like doors slamming shut. The Hfy delegate screamed. You said they were trapped. They were. Threx roared. He stopped mid-sentence as realization dawned. No. They wanted this. The veteran bowed his head. At last you understand. Encircle a human, and you dig your own grave. Elias opened a fleet-wide channel, his tone deceptively mild. Admirals, delegates, commanders. You wonder why we allowed you to surround us. Why we sat still, waiting. You assumed patience was fear. It was calculation. Across alien ships, officers froze to listen. Even in the chaos of battle, his voice carried the sharpness of a blade sliding into flesh. We knew you would gather here, Elias continued. You cannot resist the chance to crush us together. We let you draw the circle. And while you were so busy tightening it, he raised his hand. A single gesture. All fleets, he said, commence the second phase. From the darkness, more Terran signals bloomed. Not warships this time, but relay beacons, hundreds of them, igniting across surrounding systems. Each one projected interference, cutting communications across the Alliance network. Fleets far beyond the battle lost contact, left blind and stranded. The alien commanders realized too late. This was no isolated fight. It was theater masking a larger move. They severed us from our empire. a Vel admiral cried. Elias's smile was faint but lethal. Unity is fragile when silence falls. The human fleet pressed forward. Not reckless, not bloodthirsty, methodical. Command ships were targeted first, leaving squadrons adrift without guidance. Missile barrages carved through hive ships. Dreadnoughts unleashed railgun salvos with merciless precision. Still, Elias did not gloat. His voice remained level, measured, as if he were delivering a lecture. You came believing numbers were strength. But numbers without trust are nothing. You despised one another too much to coordinate, and we depended on that. You built this trap with your arrogance. We simply finished it. On the alien flagship, Threx bared his fangs. I will not yield to a hairless primate. He turned to his officers. Target their flagship. End ward. His ships obeyed, unleashing a torrent of plasma fire toward the Resolute. Elias did not flinch. Deflect. Shield harmonics shifted. Human cruisers interlocked defensive fields, bending the incoming barrage aside. The deck shuddered, but the flagship held. Return fire, Elias said. One word. That was all. The retaliatory strike gutted Threx's flagship in a single, blinding arc. Silence followed. On the remaining alien channels, panic turned to pleading. Parley, shouted a Hfy. Cease fire, begged a Vel officer. We surrender, another cried. Elias lowered his gaze, tone chilling in its restraint. Surrender? After uniting to erase our species? After surrounding us with the intent of annihilation? He let the silence hang, the weight of inevitability pressing down on every listening ear. We do not fight for conquest. We fight for memory. For every world you burned when you believed us weak. Mercy, he exhaled softly, is not on today's agenda. The veteran closed his eyes. They warned you, he whispered to his own bridge crew. We were told, never surround them. Now you see why. One of his junior officers trembled. What will become of us? The veteran gave no answer. His silence said enough. The human fleet advanced, boxing the Alliance remnants tighter. But this was not slaughter without purpose. Elias had something more precise in mind. Tactical, he said. Leave survivors. The officer blinked. Survivors, sir? Yes, Elias replied. A handful. Enough to carry the story home. Fear is a sharper weapon than extinction. He turned back to the display, eyes narrowing. The galaxy must learn this truth. Surround a human fleet, and you surround yourself. The last alien warship broke formation, engines blazing in desperate flight. Elias allowed it. He wanted the tale to spread, twisted by rumor, sharpened by dread, immortalized by those who fled. When the battle ended, the void was littered with debris. Fires burned across drifting wreckage. Silence returned, broken only by the hum of Terran drives repositioning in perfect order. On the bridge, Elias finally lowered his hands from behind his back. He retrieved his mug, still faintly warm, and sipped. His XO, pale with awe, said, Sir, the Alliance is broken. Their fleets are crippled. Their leaders scattered. What now? Elias set the mug down. His reply was as calm as every order before. Now, he said, we wait. They will come again. They always do. And when they do, they will remember this day. Far away, in council chambers and war rooms, alien survivors babbled their accounts. They spoke of fleets that appeared from nothing, of traps within traps, of a human captain who smiled as empires collapsed. The veteran's warning became scripture. Never surround them. Never. Or you will be the one surrounded. And across the stars, that phrase carried not as advice, but as prophecy.